Welcome back to Dune Awakening. So to start off, welcome to the grind. Dune's mid-game here is most grind, but not as bad as say Ark or other games in the same kind of vein. The game offsets the grind by rewarding you with special or rare blueprints for test stations and camps that you find and will encounter along the way, and will most likely have to raid along the way for intel. Outside of this recording, I have reached Aluminum thus far, and I'm close to endgame. I have been mostly doing the journeys and other quests throughout the story. My friend Edward just started playing the game and will be joining me in the game soon and later this week, hopefully in the next couple of videos, as well as some other guild members that we've decided to rope into doing some other missions and stuff with us. And of course, when we get to endgame, hopefully all of us as a guild will be able to do some spice mining. The game overall so far has been awesome. I've spent far too many hours playing this game, and unfortunately for the foreseeable few recordings until the end, which I will narrate over, do not worry. I was watching lots of videos while recording because I've been playing this for hours. Just this week alone I have a total of 30 hours in this game alone. My base changes a lot, and I hope you enjoy my base. This is the final destination for my base, although I do upgrade it later on, and I will definitely do a base tour later on. But until then, enjoy! To start this Dune adventure off, we now have access to a dew reaper, not a Dune reaper, a dew reaper, which allows us to harvest more dew from these plants more effectively. And in this early game, before I get wind traps, this is actually the most efficient way to collect water in the game, if you're a solo player. Even if you're not solo, lots of guilds have people dedicated to doing this specific job at the very specific time of day. Which, I know I'm not doing this at a very specific time of day, and I also only have the level 1 Reaper, so I'm not actually collecting that much water. But this is an absolutely effective way of collecting lots of water, if you need it. And you do, for everything. Now that I've made it to cobalt paste and past silicon blocks, I've also started collecting more and more steel. Steel means that I've made it to making a buggy. So as you can see, I've got some wind turbines out the back here. I've started collecting materials for them, which will help augment my power distribution and the amount of power that I have available in the base. I've also built this garage down here in the basement of my base, to where I'm now going to build a buggy. The buggy is your second vehicle in the game, and your biggest asset for most of the mid-game, and to be honest, most of the late game too, when you go on runs to gather materials, as you put a cut array on top of it like a turret. Now, the later versions that require aluminum and duraluminum have things like rocket launchers and miniguns on the back, but the first one is basically just a utility vehicle with a basic cut array and basic facilities, which allows you to collect multiple and numerous amounts of materials for the game, as the cut array might not be as effective as using your hand one, but you get larger amounts of those materials. Now, that may not sound as logical as you think, but once you actually start using it, you understand why. As a two-man team can collect a full buggy's worth, or about 137 volts worth of materials in about 2 minutes, compared to you roaming around getting the same amount in your inventory would take about a minute. So, I decided to take a break from buggy building, as most of the vehicles in this game require multiple parts, and I'm waiting for the machine to finish. As I get higher electricity and voltage for my base, this is a quicker process. But for now, you get to see my new and improved upstairs of my base. too high for all the future fabricators. Windows on both the east and the west side of the base to accept light in at both the morning and the evening. Corners for a bit of flair. And of course, everything else I'm going to need. Now you probably see on the background there's a staircase that goes to nowhere. Now that will in the future go to my ornithopter bay, but for now it just goes nowhere and is sealed off so that sand doesn't get in my base. In a moment you'll see me finish my buggy downstairs, but forget to make a utility rear, which requires a bunch more materials that I don't have yet. So get to work on making more steel, and I eventually take my buggy out to get carbon, which you need to make more steel. Now, as I said, the buggy is the mid-game movement, basically. It is your steed for the mid and end game, and is an excellent machine. I love the buggy. And I also love the skins you can get, which you will see later on. There are some amazing skins. Now, taking our little buggy out for its first drive out in the sand. As you can see, I do not have the utility rear on yet with the cutter, but I wanted to test it out, see how we go and find some resources so that I know what I'm doing. So this is actually my first time driving up into the western shield wall, and I think up towards the outpost. No, I don't think I go to the outpost just yet. The enemies up here are a little more difficult for me at this point, as they are slavers, which are the next sort of step up in enemy type. I am using the correct weapons, and I do have the correct armor on for them, but they are still quite tough at this point. This is a unique kind of base that you'll find throughout the game. Climbing this mountainous sort of area to get to the top, where there's a quest at the top. An observation post. It is signposted throughout, but I don't make it all the way to the top in this run. So we turn around and take our buggy back along the sands, back home, towards our base. We drive along the sands very cautiously to try and avoid the sink pits, which are everywhere in this little valley. At this stage you can see that this valley is pretty clear. Next video when we come through, check that valley again, and you'll see that there are hundreds of people building their base in that valley, because it is obviously dead flat and no worms. But there are obviously other dangers of building your base out in the open sand like that. And now we cut to me in my buggy with the cutter ray on the top, and we're off to go and do some mining. This is what I mean about the grind in this game not being as bad as it sounds for, say, like other games like Ark or say Soul Mask, or any of these other kind of survival crafting games that sort of are in the same vein of exploring to find the materials that you require. In Dune, the machines and the natural progression of the game are held up and supported by the grind. So you actually gain more materials such as the buggy, the cutter ray, and other things that you build, and the blueprints that you find, which support the amount of grinding that you have to do. This also assists the amount of traveling that you have to do. The buggy isn't as quick as the bike if you count that the bike's booster makes it go up to 120 km an hour. However, the buggy has a longer range fuel tank, and overall on the flat it is slightly quicker. The buggy also holds a lot more, and overall is a better designed machine. So, lastly, this is me in one of the testing stations. I hope you enjoy me making my way through this testing station, and I hope you enjoy the second part of Dune Awakening. sure to suck all the fluid out of their butts. Suck all the fluid out of your butt. I might change this ability too. This is cool and all, but I want to know what the poison dot is like. Go down to.
Someone here.
This is why I don't play with snipers.